it's a big day in the world of Boondock Nation. We are in the truck right now in Eagle River, Wisconsin, heading over to trackside as we often do this time of year because we got the call that 2 of our brand new sleds are in for the season.
Man, the stoke is always high when we get the phone call from trackside that the sleds are in. And the question is always too, which ones might they be? So we're stoked. We're gonna share with you guys a little bit the details on what these machines are. These are a couple of our fleet sleds. Go into some of the specifics on why we got these, what the new features are for this year, and then we're not gonna waste any time. Trackside always hooks it up, lets us come in after hours, use some shop space, and we're gonna get the build process started right away.
Yes, there's lots of things that we do right out of the gate to configure these sleds to our personal preferences. So we'll talk a bit about that and what you can do to dial in your ride. So we're pulling in right now. I think I see the sleds outside, and man, that mint color in the sun looks so good. Dude, are you kidding me?
These are so sick.
I gotta say, I was a little skeptical on the color at first. I usually just order all black snowmobiles to have a blank canvas, but man, this mint looks really good in person. I love the skis. I love that the whole tunnel and running boards are mint too.
It's gonna be fun to accessorize this. It's gonna force a bit more creativity from us on the wrap perspective and how we dial them in to kind of fit our scheme for the year too. So that's gonna be kind of fun.
We've got 2 sleds here that look very similar, but they are a bit different. So we're gonna get into the models here, tell you why we ordered what we did, and then we'll pull them into the shop, start dialing in the controls.
This is the Freeride that I got this season. You can see we both got matching Freerides, but they are very different. This is actually my secondary sled, not gonna be my primary this season. It is a 146 NA. I kind of flopped what I did last year, so I had a Lynx 146 NA last year. This is the Skidoo version basically. It's gonna be a pretty cool machine. Never had a Freeride before. There's a couple things that are different on these models across the board from the previous Freeride. So I guess let's just start by going through some of those key things. So on the Freerides, they have the best suspension in the Skidoo lineup, and this year they got an upgrade above what they've had in the previous years with KYB Pro 40s. Now, doesn't mean a lot to us because we got all sorts of cool new Raptor stuff coming this year, and you guys will have to stay tuned and see when we get that in and install it in a future video. But these things are definitely intended for jumping, big air, and beating on them a little bit. So that's why I got this sled. It's a 146, 15-inch wide track, 2.5-inch lug. It's actually calibrated at sea level, but we can change that obviously. So that's kind of why I chose this sled. I plan on riding it a bit more in the spring than my turbo, and yeah, should be pretty perfect for that situation.
This Freeride right here is gonna be my primary sled for the upcoming season. It's a 154 by 3-inch 850 Turbo R. Super capable sled and my favorite track length for all conditions. I mean, this thing is going to be a universal Swiss Army knife for whatever we throw at it this upcoming season. Since it's my primary sled, I got the big 10.25-inch gauge on here. We didn't use that much last season. We have other alternatives for our mapping and navigation like Onyx Off-Road and our KRD devices. But it is really nice for some of the other features that Skidoo includes in here, like checking fault codes and just having the big display to see what's going on down there. Another thing about the Freeride is that they come with a 36-inch front end versus the Summit Experts come with a 34-inch front end. I went ahead and got a 34-inch front end to put on this thing because I want it to ride and behave like a Summit. So that's gonna be really interesting to feel the difference with the 15-inch wide track and the narrow front end and how that performs in the mountains. Lastly, the Freeride comes with a quick disconnect sway bar link. So you can quickly disconnect the sway bar and rock no sway bar for certain conditions. Then when you get back on the trail, hook it back up. We generally always ride with a sway bar because these things don't take a lot of effort to put on their side anyway, but there can be some advantages, especially if you have the shocks to handle it. Those are the first few things we notice on the Freerides for this year. I'm sure there will be some more stuff as we dig into these that we uncover and notice, and we'll share that with you guys. But for now, we're gonna pull the sleds into the shop and start dialing in the most important thing, which is the cockpit here. Oh yeah. In this box, we've got some handlebar setups from RSI Racing for these two sleds. Now, we've run a ton of different handlebar setups over the years and tried different heights and bar bends and everything really to try and figure out what works best for us. So there's a few things we've learned along the way, and we'll talk about those as we start installing here, but check these out. RSI, made in the USA here. They're just over in Minnesota. They went above and beyond, did some extra customization for us on the bars this year. So we're gonna be trying a couple different RSI handlebars between the Hustler, the Boondoggler, and the new Narrow Slim Jim this year to really see what works best, but these guys make some really high quality stuff. So we're excited to take the builds to the next level with these handlebar setups. So let's pull the stock stuff off and then begin working on installing these RSI controls. I'm getting into my handlebar install here, and we've pulled the hood and side panels off to access the plugs underneath the hood for the heated hand grips and the kill switch. One thing we noticed is that Dylan got another Easter egg on his 146 here. Last year on his Shredder RE, he had a Shredder DS decal on one side. This year, he's got a different kill switch.
How weird is that? How does this stuff even happen? If you guys have any thoughts, we'd be curious to hear what they are, but yeah, definitely the Gen 4 kill switch on this thing.
Guess they ran out of these. Another thing we noticed that's a little bit different is the location of the plug for the heated hand grip. So one seems to plug into the ECM side here. The other one plugs right into the gauge. So I'm going to show you quick how we pull these pins out of these plugs to install the new grips. There's a little trick to that. A lot of people aren't sure how to pull these clips apart. There's no real instructions out there, so we'll show you exactly how to do that. So these plugs are pretty basic and they're all designed in a similar way. All you really need is a flathead screwdriver. You need to be kind of careful. So these little rectangular slots on the side are actually where this middle piece is held in. So you can get a screwdriver down there and pop one side out and then pop the other side, and this pin lock will come right out. There, we've got it free. You can see the pin lock slides out and reveals all the pins. On the back side here, got a similar style to hold the wires in place. So we look to the side here, there's a couple little tabs. Watch your hands here. As I just punch a hole in my fingers. Now you just slide this down and these pins come out pretty easily. All you have to do is push it out, turn it 180 degrees, and you can push them back through and pull it out. So there's one. We'll do that for both of these heated hand grip wires as well as the kill switch. Don't forget which order they go back in. So we snake these pins through the wire holder and this kill switch has been removed. Now, so I don't screw up the order here and plug the kill switch in where the hand warmers are supposed to go, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this RSI kill switch on. These switches are plug and play, so it's got the same style pins. Just got to feed it back into the plug here and we'll be good to go.
All right, well, we just got the RSIs mocked up here. It took a little effort to get the stock handlebars off between all the electronic switches and controls and everything, but the hard work is done. These are on here now. As you'll see, these are extremely low, much lower than the stock configuration. This machine came with a 4.7-inch riser, which is pretty tall for the riding that we like to do. We like to get it as low as possible. Now this is extremely low, like I mentioned. This is a 1.25-inch riser from RSI, and this bar has a 1-inch rise. So this will bring it up to about 2.25 overall height, which is significantly lower than what it was before. Additionally, these bars have a 10-degree sweep and are 7/8-inch stock aluminum, so they're gonna more than handle the abuse that we're gonna put these through this season.
I've got my Hustler bars saddled up here. I went with a little bit of a taller riser, being a little bit taller of a guy, but this is still just a 2-inch riser. So I really like this bar height. I've run lower and lower bars year after year, but this seems to be the most comfortable for me. So it's time to start bolting components back onto these handlebars now that we've got them on. We're gonna start on the brake side. We've got some sweet brakes here from 3D Logic. We've been running these brakes for the last couple of years and we're about to tell you why. So these brake levers are pretty much unbreakable. They've developed a new material here for the lever part itself that is flexible but always retains its shape. But these levers break away. It's billet machined here, and we can carry a replacement lever like this super easily. But you're also not going to run the risk of getting your hand pinched in there or this lever coming down on you and hurting you with that breakaway function. So this is really easy to throw on. It's just one bolt and then replacing the parking brake. So this is like a 5-minute job. Next order of business is to open up this box from Fire and Ice Performance. Fire and Ice makes some products and they sell a ton of products. A lot of Polaris stuff as well as some Skidoo stuff on their website. We just gave away over on our social media a set of their Polaris big air intakes. They greatly expand the surface area of the intakes on the Polaris, which tends to have a suffocation issue. So we're gonna check those out in a future video. But today, we're gonna be installing some of their protectors for the top vents here, the intake vents, and then the clutch vent as well down on the side. Fire and Ice has been in the venting game for a long time. That's made out of awesome materials, and they actually make a ton of different side panel vents and accessories as well. So go on their website, fireandice.us, and check it out.
What up? It's day 2 of the sled builds. We've moved back here into the trailer now, and we're gonna do the finishing touches on our cockpit. Last night we got pretty far along. Got all the handlebars, the grips, and the heating elements and the riser dialed in on these things. Looking really good. But now it's time to do the last touch to the cockpit, and one of the most important things in our opinion, and that's changing it out to the finger throttle. So this is something we've been doing the last couple of years. Our friends over at Munster this year hooked it up and sent us over a bunch of these things. So we'll share with you guys our thoughts on this, why we've been doing it, and some of the advantages. And it's super cool, high quality products here from Munster. Let's get into the install. Well, we got the finger throttle installed, and as you can see, it's a really clean setup. We've been running these for the last couple of years, and definitely will not ride a sled without it anymore. One thing that you're gonna notice right away if you do have an opportunity to ride a finger throttle is you will get some arm pump, but I promise you it will be worth it. These handlebars now, with this being a finger throttle on the right side, it really evens out the feel. You know, we ride with one finger on the brake all the time, so now it's just completely even, and a huge fan of what that does to the handling of the sled. Not only is it completely the same on each side, but you now have really good grip with your thumb, and I feel like that really makes a difference when you're doing some off-camber hits, jumps, riding in the trees, riding neutral, whatever it is. It's a nice feeling, and definitely a fan of it. So that's that. The handlebars are totally done on this sled, and we're gonna make a shift over to Jack's and begin to install some bumpers and some other protection parts on that machine.
Now it's time for me to pull my sled inside. I've got her in here, and it's time to install some protection parts. So if you guys haven't heard of Backwoods BMP, you need to check them out. We teamed up with these guys at Heydays to launch an event called Power Hour, which was a live premiere event of exclusive edits from guys like Caleb Kosterke, Muskoka Freerider, Brett Turcotte, Kyle Saxon, Jay and Blaine. We all put together sweet videos and premiered them at Heydays, did all kinds of giveaways. What I'm getting at, these guys are changing the game, and they're really pushing the limits when it comes to innovation. So we've been helping them test some parts and products over the years. Everything they come out with is tested, it's strong, it's durable, and we're believers. So I'm about to unbox this box here. We've also got a box of rear bumpers. We're gonna install the front bumper today and check that out. We're gonna wait to do the rear until we have the wraps on. And check this out, next day air. We called up the boys and said that we were putting the sleds together today because they just came in and they delivered. So let's check them out, see what colors we got. So we got some grab handles here. Looks like they're just sending everything for all of our sleds this year. White. Is this you, Jordan?
I think so.
And this is what I'm looking for. Man, looking good. So this is the Gen 5 NSP front bumper. NSP stands for no skid plate. They do make bumpers that are compatible with skid plates as well. Nice and beefy up top here, and then a nice protection plate underneath. This is 1/4 inch thick aluminum. That's twice as thick as the competition, and it bolts into your bulkhead. These bumpers are designed to fail at the hardware up top and bend in certain places as to not total your sled out, but protect all your plastics. And if you do bend one up, send a picture to Backwoods. They'll give you a 50% off discount off the next bumper. That's the Backwoods protection plan. So that's pretty cool. Now let's bolt this thing up and see what it looks like. Man, it's so nice working on a brand new sled because everything underneath the hood is so clean. So it won't last for long. It's gonna be full of belt dust and oil and who knows what else. One nice thing about the Backwoods bumpers is that it bolts into some specific places in the bulkhead here. They send a separate bracket that bolts in 2 locations instead of this flimsy stock tab. You know, if you break one of these tabs off, you have to replace your bulkhead. So the Backwoods bumper avoids that completely. Bolts in right here, it's much stronger. And like I said, that hardware is designed to shear. So let's drill out these holes and bolt up those brackets. And one last thing to point out is that these bumpers rivet into the nose cone up front here, just like the stock ones do. So this is going to further solidify the nose cone up front and bolt it right into that bumper where it's strongest. Now the last thing to do here is to vacuum out all the shavings. We've created some metal shavings in the belly pan here with the drill bit, and we don't want those floating around and getting up in the belt and everything. So we've got a little shop back here. This is a great thing to carry in the trailer. We actually bought this in McCall, Idaho when I sunk my green sled with the Arctic Cat Black Cats a couple years ago. This thing single-handedly saved that engine. So great thing to have in the trailer. That wraps up the install of the Backwoods BMP NSP front bumper. It's going to provide a ton of protection up front and give me a lot of confidence when we're running through the trees. Next, we're going to be wrapping these things up, then installing the rear bumper and a bunch of other goodies. These will be our most dialed in sleds by far. We're taking them all over the country and even up to Canada this year. So hit subscribe. We've got such an epic season planned, like I can't even wrap my head around it right now. So you guys aren't going to want to miss a video. We're about to head west and start hitting the snow. So thanks so much for watching this video, you guys, and we'll see you next week.